Sarah walked into the Lagos airport carrying one bag. She had been in London for 3 years. Her stomach was round and visible. She was 6 months pregnant. Everyone back home thought she was still studying. No one knew she was coming back today. Her father was Evangelist John Bassi. He was famous across Nigeria. He preached in big churches every Sunday. He talked about holiness and family values. People called him a man of God. They respected him everywhere he went. Sarah's mother died 5 years ago. After that, it was just Sarah and her father. They lived in a big house in Lekki. The church paid for everything. Sarah's father was always traveling to preach. When Sarah was 18, he sent her to London to study medicine. But something happened before Sarah left for London. Her father did something terrible to her. He raped her in his prayer room. It happened the night before her flight. He told her never to tell anyone. He said no one would believe her. He said she would destroy his ministry. Sarah tried to forget what happened. She focused on her studies in London. She did not make close friends. She did not date anyone. She went to church but could not pray. Every time she closed her eyes, she remembered that night. 3 months ago, Sarah discovered she was pregnant. The doctor asked about the father. Sarah could not answer. She just cried. The pregnancy was from that night 3 years ago. Her father was responsible. The baby growing inside her was proof of what he did. Sarah thought about abortion many times. She went to a clinic twice. But she could not go through with it. She decided to keep the baby. She also decided to go back to Nigeria. She was going to tell everyone the truth. She did not care what people would say. Her father had to face what he did. Sarah took a taxi from the airport. She did not call her father. She did not tell anyone she was coming. She wanted to surprise him. She wanted to walk into the church on Sunday. She wanted everyone to see her pregnant belly. Then she would tell them who was responsible. It was Sunday morning. The church was full of people. Victory Life Church had over 5,000 members. Evangelist John Bassi was preaching. He wore a white suit. His Bible was in his hand. Sweat was on his forehead. He was shouting into the microphone. He was preaching about sexual immorality. He said young girls were sleeping with men for money. He said parents must train their children properly. He said daughters must remain pure until marriage. The congregation was shouting amen. People were clapping. Some were crying. Sister Grace was the choir mistress. She sat in the front row. She loved Evangelist John's preaching. She always took notes. Her daughter Rita was sitting beside her. Rita was 17 years old. She wanted to be like Sarah. Everyone in church knew Sarah was in London studying medicine. Brother Thomas was one of the ushers. He stood at the back door. He saw someone enter the church. It was a young woman. She was pregnant. She wore a simple dress. She had a bag in her hand. Brother Thomas did not recognize her at first. Then he looked closer. His mouth opened. It was Sarah. Sarah walked slowly down the aisle. People turned to look at her. Some recognized her immediately. Others whispered asking who she was. The choir stopped singing. The musicians stopped playing. Everyone was staring at the pregnant girl walking toward the altar. Evangelist John was still preaching. He had not noticed Sarah yet. He was saying that children who disobey their parents will face God's judgment. He was saying that girls who get pregnant outside marriage bring shame to their families. Then he looked up. He saw Sarah. His voice stopped. The microphone almost fell from his hand. Sarah kept walking. She did not look at anyone else. She only looked at her father. Her face was calm. She was not crying. She was not shaking. She reached the front of the church. She stood right in front of the pulpit. The entire church was silent. You could hear people breathing. Evangelist John's face changed. His skin became pale. His hands started shaking. He knew why Sarah was there. He knew what she was going to say. He tried to smile. He said into the microphone that his daughter had returned from London. Some people clapped. But most people just stared at Sarah's stomach. Sarah took the microphone from her father's hand. He tried to hold it but she pulled it away. The church was completely silent. Everyone wanted to know what was happening. Sister Grace leaned forward in her seat. Brother Thomas moved closer to hear better. Sarah spoke clearly into the microphone. She said her name was Sarah Bassi. She said she was the daughter of Evangelist John Bassi. She said she had been in London for 3 years. She said everyone could see she was pregnant. People nodded. Some women whispered to each other. Sarah said she wanted to tell the church something important. She said she was 6 months pregnant. She said the father of her baby was standing right beside her. Everyone looked confused. They looked around wondering who the father was. No young man was standing near her. Only Evangelist John was there. Then Sarah turned to her father. She looked directly at him. She said the father of her baby was Evangelist John Bassi. She said her own father was responsible for her pregnancy. The church erupted. People screamed. Some stood up. Sister Grace fainted. Rita started crying. Brother Thomas ran to get water. Evangelist John grabbed the microphone. He shouted that Sarah was lying. He said she had gone mad. He said the devil was using her. He told the church not to believe her. He said she had a boyfriend in London who got her pregnant. He said she was trying to destroy his ministry. Sarah remained calm. She took the microphone back. She told the church exactly what happened. She said 3 years ago, the night before she traveled to London, her father called her to his prayer room. She said he locked the door. She said he raped her. She said he threatened her never to tell anyone. The church was in chaos now. People were shouting. Some were crying. Evangelist John fell on his knees. He raised his hands up. He started praying loudly. He said the devil was attacking him. He said enemies wanted to bring him down. He said Sarah was possessed. He told the church to pray against the spirit of lies. Some people started praying. But many people just watched in shock. Sarah pulled out her phone. She said she had evidence. She played a recording. It was Evangelist John's voice. In the recording he was telling Sarah to go to London and never come back. He was saying that no one would believe her if she talked. He was saying he would deny everything. The recording was clear. Everyone heard it. Evangelist John stopped praying. He knew he was finished. Mrs. Benson stood up from her seat. She was Evangelist John's sister. She lived in the same compound with them. She was shaking as she walked toward the altar. People made way for her. She looked at her brother. She looked at Sarah. Then she started speaking. Mrs. Benson said she needed to confess something. She said she had kept quiet for too long. She said 3 years ago she heard screaming from the prayer room. She said she went there and heard Sarah crying. She said she heard her brother telling Sarah to keep quiet. But Mrs. Benson did not do anything. She was afraid. Mrs. Benson said the next morning, Sarah left for London. Sarah's eyes were red from crying. Her father bought her ticket immediately. He gave her money. He told everyone Sarah was excited about her studies. But Mrs. Benson knew something was wrong. She asked Sarah what happened. Sarah just cried and entered the taxi to the airport. Mrs. Benson said she confronted her brother that day. Evangelist John told her to mind her business. He said Sarah was lying. He said nothing happened. Mrs. Benson wanted to report to the police. But Evangelist John threatened her. He said he would destroy her husband's business. He said he would tell everyone her secrets. So Mrs. Benson kept quiet. For 3 years Mrs. Benson lived with guilt. She saw her brother preaching every Sunday. She saw people praising him. She saw young girls admiring him. She wanted to speak but fear held her tongue. Now that Sarah had spoken, Mrs. Benson could not keep quiet anymore. She had to support her niece. The church members were shocked again. They could not believe what they were hearing. Sister Grace had woken up from fainting. She was crying. Brother Thomas was recording everything on his phone. The other pastors in the church did not know what to do. They just stood there confused. Evangelist John looked at his sister with anger. He called her a traitor. He said she was jealous of his success. He said she wanted to destroy him. Mrs. Benson did not respond. She just went and stood beside Sarah. She held Sarah's hand. She told Sarah she was sorry for not speaking 3 years ago. Pastor Mike was the assistant pastor. He had been standing at the side watching everything. Now he came forward. He took the microphone. He said the leadership needed to investigate this matter. He said they could not ignore such serious accusations. He said Evangelist John should step down immediately until the truth was established. Evangelist John refused to step down. He said he was innocent. He said this was a conspiracy against him. He told Pastor Mike to stay out of it. He told the church that Sarah and his sister were lying. He said they wanted his position. He said they wanted his money. Sarah asked her father a simple question. She asked if he remembered what happened in the prayer room 3 years ago. She asked if he remembered locking the door. She asked if he remembered what he did to her on the floor. Evangelist John's face changed. He could not answer. He just looked down. Sarah continued speaking. She said after he raped her, he gave her money. He told her to leave Nigeria immediately. He said if she ever came back and talked, he would destroy her. He said no one would believe her because he was a man of God. He said people would call her a liar and a prostitute. Sarah said for 3 years she suffered in silence. She had nightmares every night. She could not trust anyone. She stopped believing in God. She wanted to kill herself many times. But she survived because she wanted justice. She wanted her father to pay for what he did. The congregation was divided now. Some people believed Sarah. They could see she was telling the truth. Her pain was real. Her tears were genuine. Other people still supported Evangelist John. They said Sarah was lying. They said she wanted attention. They said she was being used by enemies of the ministry. Sister Grace stood up. She said she believed Sarah. She said she had noticed something 3 years ago. She remembered that Sarah was always happy and free. But the week before she traveled, Sarah became quiet. She stopped smiling. Sister Grace had asked what was wrong. Sarah said nothing. Now Sister Grace understood why. More people started speaking. Brother James said Evangelist John once told him that women were weak and easy to control. Sister Taupe said Evangelist John made uncomfortable comments about young girls in the church. Pastor Mike said Evangelist John had anger issues and threatened people regularly. All these testimonies were painting a clear picture. Evangelist John realized he was losing control. He tried one more thing. He fell down completely. He started rolling on the floor. He said he was under attack. He said demons were fighting him. He told people to pray for him. Some people rushed to hold him. But Sarah just watched quietly. She knew her father was acting. She had seen him do this before when he wanted sympathy. Someone had called the police. 3 officers entered the church. They asked what was happening. Pastor Mike explained the situation. He said a young woman had accused Evangelist John of rape. He said it happened 3 years ago. The police asked Sarah to come with them to make a statement. Sarah agreed to go. She was ready. She had prepared for this moment. Mrs. Benson said she would go with Sarah. She told the police she was a witness. She said she heard everything that night. The police asked Evangelist John to come to the station as well. He refused. He said they could not arrest a man of God. The police told Evangelist John he had 2 choices. He could come peacefully or they would arrest him by force. The church members watched as the great evangelist was being told to follow the police. Some people started crying. They could not believe what was happening. Their spiritual father was being accused of rape. Evangelist John finally stood up. He told the church he would go to the station. He said he was innocent. He said God would vindicate him. He said this was his cross to carry. He told people to keep praying for him. He said he would be back soon. He walked toward the exit with the police. As they were leaving, a young woman ran from the back of the church. Her name was Joy. She was 20 years old. She stopped Evangelist John. She said she also had something to say. Everyone turned to look at her. The police stopped walking. They wanted to hear what Joy had to say. Joy said Evangelist John did something to her 2 years ago. She said he called her to his office for counseling. She said when she got there he locked the door. She said he touched her inappropriately. She said he kissed her by force. She said when she tried to scream he covered her mouth. She said he told her it was their secret. Joy said she did not report it because she was afraid. She thought no one would believe her. She was just a youth member. He was the senior pastor. She kept quiet and suffered alone. But now that Sarah had spoken, Joy found courage. She wanted to add her voice. She wanted justice too. The police asked Joy to come to the station as well. Now there were 2 accusers. The case was becoming bigger. Evangelist John's face was completely pale now. He knew his life was over. Everything he had built was crashing down. His ministry, his reputation, his freedom, all gone in one morning. At the police station, Sarah told her story from the beginning. She spoke for 2 hours. She did not leave out any detail. She told them about the night her father raped her. She told them how he threatened her. She told them how he sent her to London immediately. The police officers listened carefully. They took notes. They recorded her statement. Mrs. Benson also gave her statement. She confirmed everything Sarah said. She told them she heard Sarah screaming that night. She told them her brother had threatened her to keep quiet. She said she was willing to testify in court. She said she had lived with guilt for 3 years and wanted to make it right. Joy gave her statement as well. She said Evangelist John sexually assaulted her in his office 2 years ago. She said he had been sending her inappropriate messages since then. She showed the police her phone. The messages were there. Evangelist John had sent her texts saying she was beautiful. He sent her money. He asked her to meet him in hotels. The police called a female doctor. Sarah went for a medical examination. The doctor confirmed that Sarah was 6 months pregnant. The doctor took samples for DNA testing. Sarah said she was willing to do any test needed. She wanted to prove that her father was responsible for the pregnancy. Evangelist John sat in the interrogation room. He refused to talk without his lawyer. The police told him he could remain silent. But the evidence was piling up against him. They had 2 accusers. They had witness testimony. They had recorded messages. They had the audio recording Sarah played in church. After 4 hours, Evangelist John's lawyer arrived. His name was Mr. Adeyemi. He was a senior advocate. He had worked for Evangelist John before on land disputes. When Mr. Adeyemi heard the charges, he was shocked. He had known Evangelist John for 10 years. He never suspected this. Mr. Adeyemi spoke with Evangelist John privately. He asked him to tell the truth. Evangelist John maintained his innocence. He said Sarah was lying. He said Joy was lying. He said his sister was jealous. He said this was a setup. Mr. Adeyemi asked about the audio recording. Evangelist John said it was edited. He said technology could fake anything. The police told Mr. Adeyemi they would charge Evangelist John with rape and sexual assault. They said they would oppose bail because he was a flight risk. They said he had money and connections and could leave the country. Mr. Adeyemi tried to negotiate, but the police refused. Evangelist John was going to spend the night in the cell. News of Evangelist John's arrest spread quickly. By evening it was on every blog and news channel. Social media was full of discussions. Some people defended him. They said it was a lie from the pit of hell. They said Sarah wanted his money. They said Joy was a prostitute trying to destroy a man of God. But many people believed Sarah and Joy. They said powerful men always got away with abuse. They said religious leaders used their positions to harm people. They said this was why victims never spoke up. They praised Sarah for her courage. They said she was brave to confront her abuser publicly. The church held an emergency meeting that evening. The elders, deacons, and pastors gathered. They needed to decide what to do. Pastor Mike said they should suspend Evangelist John immediately. He said the accusations were serious. He said they could not continue as if nothing happened. Some elders disagreed. Elder Okon said they should wait for proof. He said innocent until proven guilty. He said they could not destroy a man's reputation based on accusations. He said maybe Sarah had mental problems. He said maybe Joy was lying for attention. Pastor Mike got angry. He said Elder Okon was protecting an abuser. He said this was exactly why victims never reported. He said the church always protected powerful men instead of believing victims. He said if they did not act now, more victims might come forward. He said the church's reputation was at stake. After 3 hours of arguing, they took a vote. 15 people voted to suspend Evangelist John. 8 people voted against it. The decision was made. Evangelist John was officially suspended from all church activities. They would appoint Pastor Mike as acting senior pastor. They would cooperate fully with the police investigation. They released a statement that night. The statement said the church took all allegations seriously. It said they were shocked and saddened by the accusations. It said they would support the investigation. It said they were praying for everyone involved. It said they believed in justice and truth. But the statement did not say they believed Sarah. It did not say they stood with the victims. It was a careful statement that protected the church. Many people criticized the statement online. They said the church was still protecting Evangelist John. They said the church should clearly condemn abuse. 3 weeks passed. Sarah stayed with Mrs. Benson. She did not go back to her father's house. She did not want anything from him. The church gave her some money for upkeep. Many church members visited her. They apologized for not believing her immediately. They prayed with her. Joy also stayed with Mrs. Benson. The 2 young women became friends. They shared their pain. They encouraged each other. They went to therapy together. They attended court hearings together. They were no longer alone. They had each other. The DNA test results came back. The test confirmed that Evangelist John was the father of Sarah's baby. The result was 99.9% certain. There was no doubt anymore. Sarah had been telling the truth. Her father had raped her and gotten her pregnant. When the news broke, even Evangelist John's strongest supporters went quiet. They could not deny DNA evidence. Some of them apologized to Sarah. They said they were sorry for doubting her. They said they were wrong. They said they should have believed her from the start. Evangelist John's lawyer received the results. He went to see his client in detention. He showed him the DNA report. He told him the case was now impossible to win. He advised Evangelist John to plead guilty. He said if he pleaded guilty, he might get a lighter sentence. If he went to trial and was found guilty, the sentence would be longer. Evangelist John broke down. He finally admitted what he did. He told his lawyer that he raped Sarah 3 years ago. He said he did not know she would get pregnant. He said he thought sending her to London would solve the problem. He said he never expected her to come back. He said he never expected her to speak out. The lawyer asked about Joy. Evangelist John admitted that he touched Joy inappropriately. He said it was a mistake. He said the devil tempted him. The lawyer shook his head. He told Evangelist John that he had destroyed his own life. He told him that he would likely spend many years in prison. Evangelist John asked if he could see Sarah. He said he wanted to apologize. The lawyer said he would ask, but he did not think Sarah would agree. Later that day the lawyer called Sarah. Sarah refused to see her father. She said there was nothing he could say. She said his apology could not undo what he did. She said she wanted him to face justice. The trial lasted 3 months. The courtroom was full every day. News reporters covered every session. People across Nigeria followed the case. It became a national conversation about abuse in religious spaces. Many other victims came forward with their own stories about different pastors and church leaders. The prosecutor presented overwhelming evidence. They had Sarah's testimony. They had Mrs. Benson's testimony. They had Joy's testimony. They had the DNA results. They had the audio recording. They had text messages. They had medical reports. The defense had nothing to counter with. Evangelist John's lawyer tried his best. He said his client was remorseful. He said Evangelist John had confessed. He said Evangelist John wanted to make amends. He asked for mercy. He said prison would destroy Evangelist John completely. He asked the judge to consider rehabilitation instead. The prosecutor argued strongly against mercy. She said Evangelist John was a predator. She said he used his position to abuse vulnerable women. She said he raped his own daughter. She said he threatened and silenced his victims. She said he showed no remorse until he was caught. She asked for the maximum sentence. The judge listened to everything. She was Justice Akinola, a woman known for being fair but firm. She said this case had touched her deeply. She said as a mother she could not imagine what Sarah went through. She said Evangelist John had betrayed every trust. She said he betrayed his daughter, his church, and society. Justice Akinola sentenced Evangelist John to 25 years in prison for rape. She gave him another 5 years for sexual assault of Joy. The sentences would run consecutively. That meant 30 years total. Evangelist John would be 78 years old when he got out. His life as he knew it was over. Sarah cried when she heard the sentence. But they were tears of relief. Justice had been served. Her father would pay for what he did. Other victims would see that speaking up mattered. Other predators would see that power could not protect them forever. After the judgment, Sarah gave an interview. She said she was not happy her father was going to prison. She said she was sad it had to come to this. She said she wished he had been a good father. She wished he had protected her instead of hurting her. But she said she had no regrets about speaking up. She said silence protected abusers. She said her voice had set her free. She encouraged other victims to speak their truth. She said healing was possible. She said justice was possible. And most importantly, she said they were not alone.